So we're going to make a little homemade guacamole today. We're going to have this recipe. It's a large recipe. You can have the recipe if you like at home. We're going to get some avocados. We're going to get 6 of them. The recipe called for 6, but we only have 5. So I think somebody already ate one of the avocados this morning. Didn't make it to the shoot today. So we're going to have 5 avocados, 1 onion, 2 Roma tomatoes, and then we're going to add some wet ingredients here in a minute. So I went ahead and I took the avocados, put my knife against them, and just run the avocado like this around the side, trying not to cut myself. Then we're going to go ahead and take the core out of them. They're not too hard to do. Sometimes they get a little pesky. Make sure you don't get the pit in there either. So we're going to go ahead and pit these avocados. And this is an exorbitant amount of guacamole, but we got about 10 people coming over. Or if you really like guacamole, then this would be a great single recipe. And maybe it could be a double recipe if you want to half it. So we've got the 5 avocados. We're going to go ahead and take a knife and cut through in a double diagonal pattern in about half of them, so they'll come out already chunked. You can use a butter knife. It might not score all the way down to the skin. Well, I don't usually go down to the skin all the way anyway. So I'm just striping 4 of them, and I got about half or 2 or 3 of them done. And then we're going to take our knife over here and come in. It's a little easier for me to scoop out. You don't have to go down to the shell and gouge it all out. And so I got some of the avocados coming out right now that are already in dices. Then we have some that are whole, so that way we have a good consistency. Some kind of whole, some mashed, and some in dices. And I don't want to have a pureed of a guacamole. I don't want a guacamole coming out looking like a milkshake. So now that we got these avocados scooped out, in a minute I'm going to go ahead and dice up these onions and a little bit of these tomatoes, mix it together with some cumin oil, some Worcestershire sauce, my secret ingredient, a little lemon juice, a little salt and pepper, a little bit of a taco seasoning, and some Creole spice. All right. Okay, I'm going to rinse my hands off real quick. I'll be right back. I just rinsed my hands off. Them avocados were a little bit messy. We're going to go ahead and cut some tomatoes and some onions up. I think I'm just going to put 1 tomato in my guacamole today. We'll have a second one here in case we need it. And we're going to go ahead and give this about a 1/4 inch dice. Cutting these about a 1/4 inch apart. Well, that knife needs to be sharpened just a little bit, huh? And then we'll stack them up again just like we did before. That's probably enough tomatoes. And then we get a Vidalia onion. We're going to go ahead and give it about 4 or 5 cuts like that. We're going to be looking for about a 1/4 inch dice, something a little bit tighter than a 1/2 inch dice are cute. Alright, looks like about a 1/2 an onion and a 1/2 a tomato. We're going to go ahead and add this. Our guacamole. This is something we're going to make a little ahead of time. We're going to make this little set up for about a 1/2 an hour. Well, not too much more. It's going to start to brown out a little bit. But we're going to add some lemon juice to kind of keep that from happening, and also cover it with some film, covering it real tight, not to let the air get to it as much, so it doesn't oxidize. It doesn't start. You know what? Let's give it a little bit more Vidalia onion. That isn't going to hurt anything, is it? So it was a large onion. So now we're going to go ahead and move this over, and we're going to get a few other ingredients in here. We've got a little bit of lemon juice. We can try to keep all the seeds out. Some of our Creole spice, 1 teaspoon, 2 teaspoons of our taco seasoning, about a teaspoon, 1/2 teaspoon, 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4 shakes of my secret ingredient. And then a little bit of our oil. We're going to use 2 tablespoons. We could measure it. 1, 2, we measured it. And then some salt, about 1 teaspoon. We're going to go ahead, we're going to mix this up, fold this together. let this set up for a little while, and we're going to come back in about 20 or 30 minutes, taste it, and maybe salt and pepper to taste again. You can add a little fresh pepper to it if you like, but I have quite a bit of fresh pepper in my taco seasoning, the taco seasoning we make here. So I should have probably put this in another color bowl besides the green bowl. The guacamole is getting lost in the bowl here, huh? Oh well, you can tell that we're a little colorblind over here at the Fire Chief. Alrighty, there you go. We're going to let that sit in the refrigerator about 20 minutes. Come back, taste it, salt and pepper to taste after that. Make sure we keep it good and covered. In fact, I'll be back in a few seconds to show you a little trick how to keep this from browning on the top. So this little trick that we're going to keep it from browning out while we have the refrigerator sitting. We went ahead and flattened this down. We got the bowl here. We got a little film. And we're going to go ahead and put it across the top of the guacamole like this. Kind of flatten it out against the top of it. Kind of pushing all the air bubbles out of it. We're going to keep that in the refrigerator like that, airtight, keeping air from getting to it. It's going to keep it from browning out. You know, that way the guacamole is nice and vibrant green. About 15-20 minutes, maybe half an hour, we're going to come back, taste it for salt and pepper, maybe re-season it, and then we're going to serve this, and it's going to be delicious.